Don't look now, but it's that time of the week again. Time to look at what's coming out so I can tell you what I'm getting. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. This is the latest in a series I like to call What I'm Getting, where I take a look at this solicitation so I can tell you which comics are on my pull list this week, what's on the chopping block, and what's on the maybe list that I'll be making a game day decision on. So this Wednesday, May 25th, is a stacked new comic book day. I feel like they all are. Like every week, there's a ton of books coming out. So there's definitely a lot of stuff I'm excited about. A couple of things I gotta drop this time around. But anyway, I'm excited to get into it. So let me go ahead and start with the book that I'm most excited for. But first, gotta give a huge shout out to our channel sponsor, Ultimate Comics. Now, with 4 locations in the Raleigh-Durham area, at this point, if you haven't been to an Ultimate Comics location, you just didn't want to go. And I don't know if we can be friends. But if you are local to this area, you should make your way into an Ultimate Comics store ASAP. They've got super clean stores, well organized, well stocked. They've got a huge warehouse full of comics, so they're always adding new back issues to all the sections in every store. It's really just a great place to be. Now, if you're not local to the area, no worries. You can shop at ultimatecomics.com to get rare and exclusive variants that you can only get at Ultimate. And twice a week, you can shop on the Ultimate Comics live show on Facebook. So every Tuesday and Thursday evening, you can join Sienna and Tarney and everybody else on the live show and buy back issues, buy rare variants, buy CGC books. It's crazy. You never know what you're going to find. So anyway, go to Ultimate Comics live show. You can find all the links in the description below. And thanks, Ultimate, for sponsoring this video. Now, it's time to get into this list, because you guys know I'm trying to stick to a budget. I got a budget of $50 a week, and I'm hoping we can stick to it this week. And we got to make some cuts in order to make that happen. So anyways, the book I'm most excited for this week, it's probably going to surprise you, but this is DC versus Vampires Hunters #1. It's a one-shot. Why am I the most excited about this book? Well, if you're not reading DC versus Vampires, it's kind of the brainchild of James Tynion, but it's being written by Matthew Rosenberg. The art has been like kind of up and down. They've been switching artists every couple of issues here, but the story all in all is fun to me. I really enjoy Matthew Rosenberg's dialogue for the characters. It's been really funny, but basically the Justice League are being turned into vampires, and we got to figure out who's a vampire and who's not. And among the vampire hunting team, Batman and the whole Bat family. And this one-shot issue takes a break from the main action and just gives us a nice, fun-filled story of Damian hunting for vampires. I just expect it to be, Damian slashing up some vampires. He's got the katana. It should be just a fun, action-packed issue. The more I read comics, I find that in this time, in this season of my life, I just like reading fun stories. I don't care about your 30-issue story arc. I don't care about the epic tome that you're trying to produce. I just want to read something fun. And DC versus Vampires Hunters #1 should be just that. It's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm getting cover A. Now, since we're talking about DC Comics, let's go ahead with the rest of the list. Starting with, speaking of massive epic tomes, this is Action Comics issue 1043. Now, make no mistakes, Action Comics is one of the best books on shelves. Philip Kennedy Johnson has been very consistent, and the artwork by Riccardo Federici has been amazing as well. It kind of just looks really epic, but you've kind of got Gladiator Superman on War World trying to inspire, the War World slaves to rise up and finally beat Mongol, with all of the, typical like Superman tropes that you could think of, like being a symbol of hope and truth and freedom and just appealing to the humanity in people, even when those humans are aliens. So it's very much a classic Superman tale, but you're not getting Superman in the tights and the briefs and all that. So, some people are just kind of skipping it because they don't think it's for them. If you're a Superman fan, I believe this is for you. And that's coming from someone who's not a Superman fan. but is thoroughly enjoying it. So Action Comics 1043's got a cover price of $4.99, and I'm getting cover A. Next up on the DC Comics pull list is Deathstroke Incorporated number 9. If you're following along with the Shadow War that I'm severely behind on, this is going to be part 6 of the Shadow War crossover. Now, some of you guys may be like, eagle-eyed fans, and you're like, well, why do you keep buying this book if you're not going to read it when it comes out? And the simple answer is DC takes way too long to collect their stuff. It goes digital. We gotta wait 6 months if you want to read it on DC Infinite, and you gotta wait even longer than that if you want to wait for a hardcover. I think the hardcover for the Shadow War isn't coming out till November, something like that. So I'll finally read all my single issues way before the hardcover comes out. That way I won't be super behind on Dark Crisis, which this leads directly into. So anyway, if you are reading Batman, if you are keeping up with the DC universe, you got to basically read everything Joshua Williamson is writing, and this is that. So Deathstroke Inc. number 9, it's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm just getting the cover A. And next up on the DC Comics pull list is Detective Comics issue 1060. The last issue, we started a brand new story arc with the Riddler that reminded me a lot of the Batman movie. And so I was kind of like, did we need this? But it was still fun, so I enjoyed it. So this is going to be continuing that story arc. I'm just kind of counting down the days until we get a new creative team on Detective Comics. But I did like that issue 1059 felt more episodic. Kind of reminded me of the days when Peter Tomasi was writing the title, and I loved that. But anyway, Detective Comics 1060's got a cover price of $4.99, and I'm getting the cover A. And the last book on my DC Comics pull list this week is Robin, issue 14. This is going to be part 7 of that Shadow War crossover. So everything I said about Deathstroke, apply it to Robin. You need to be reading this book if you are at all invested in the future of the DC universe and the Bat family's role in that. Honestly, the series was good before the crossover started. I imagine it's still going to be good. So that's Robin number 14. It's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm getting cover A. And that's going to do it for my DC Comics pull list. So if I just stick to the list, I don't buy a bunch of extra stuff, I'm just going to be looking at a total of $22. Not bad, Kicks. You did good. You did good. Now, let's move on to Marvel Comics, where the first book on my pull list is The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 2. Amazing Spider-Man, written by Zeb Wells, with art by John Romita Jr. Now, you guys know I've been pretty vocally critical about John Romita Jr.'s more recent works. I gotta say, in issue 1 of The Amazing Spider-Man, I thought he definitely stepped it up a notch. It's not like the peak John Romita Jr. that I've seen in the past, on past runs of Spider-Man, but what I will say is I love the storytelling, his panel layouts, what he decides to focus on, his page layouts, all that top notch. It felt very cinematic. Now, Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 is kind of controversial because there was a reveal about Mary Jane at the very end of that issue that I'm very curious to see the follow-up on in issue number 2. They got me hooked. So Amazing Spider-Man number 2, it's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. Now, next up on the Marvel Comics pull list, this was technically on the maybe list, but I went ahead and put it in the section because I got the rest of the series. This is Devil's Reign Omega. With Devil's Reign or with all these events, they do the Alpha and Omega issues. I guess that's better than a prelude and an epilogue, but whatever. So we already got the whole Devil's Reign event. A certain someone that we know is now the mayor of New York City. And this Devil's Reign Omega issue is just kind of be, a few short stories examining the immediate aftermath, celebrating the immediate aftermath, and focusing on a character that I feel doesn't get enough love in comics. And because of that, I'm picking up the Devil's Reign Omega. So I'm kind of mad it's got a cover price of $5.99, but hey, it is what it is. I'm getting cover A, and I'm just going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it just so you know. If you're a Luke Cage fan, you should probably pick up this book. Now, next up on the Marvel Comics pull list is Hulk issue number 7. Now, Hulk by Donny Cates has been really good up until, well, I'm not saying up until like it's not good anymore. But the last issue of Hulk I read was number 6. It was great. But right after that, we got the Hulk versus Thor Banner of War event. And initially, I wasn't super invested. I thought it was going to be like its own separate thing. So yeah, silly me didn't realize that the Hulk versus Thor Banner of War was going to be happening in the Hulk and Thor ongoings. So now I had to add Thor back to my pull list, and I got to read Thor before I can read Hulk again. I almost want to check out for that reason, but I've been enjoying Hulk enough. And apparently, the last issue of Thor gave some really good insight into what's going on in this current Hulk iteration. So I'm a sucker. But anyway, Hulk number 7. Banner of War Part 3 has got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm getting cover A. And that's it for Marvel Comics. If I just stick to that list, don't buy a bunch of extras. I'm looking at spending $14 on the Marvel books this week. Not bad. Again, not bad. Now, we talked about Marvel, we talked about DC, and now it's time to get into everybody else, right? The independent, the creator-owned, the smaller publishers, starting with the book that I just can't stop buying. This is Gunslinger Spawn number 8 from Todd McFarlane with art by Brett Booth. Gunslinger has been my favorite of the Spawn's universe titles. Honestly, I just like the character design. I like the voice for the character and the art. The art. Brett Booth, Todd McFarlane inking. It's just great. It's great. Do I need this book? No. Issue 7 was Gunslinger versus some, was it dogs? Werewolves? Like, I didn't need it, but I enjoyed it. And so here we are. Here we are once again. Gunslinger Spawn number 8. By the way, that cover is amazing. It's got a cover price of $2.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next book on the list is Radiant Red, issue number 3. Now, I recently dropped every Radiant crossover or spin-off title besides Radiant Black. And I'm keeping Radiant Red on the list as well because we're already halfway through the miniseries. But the short version is I just got way too many books on the pull list and they were expanding way too quickly for me. I do enjoy the Radiant Black main title. Everything else I'm going to have to catch in trade, and I got to get caught up on this Radiant Red series as well. I do just enjoy Radiant Red as a character, getting her backstory, getting some more solo adventures from her to understand more about her motivation. But I only read the first issue, so I got to go read issue 2 and get ready for issue 3. It's out this week with a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And now we've reached the last book on the pull list. The last book on my pull list this week is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue 129. Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles might be rivaling Spawn for like the book with the most issues that I haven't read since I started picking it up. I'm not quite as bad as Spawn. I do still pick up Ninja Turtles and read it more often than not. But I can't lie. I've been like checking in and out. The story hasn't been exciting. It hasn't been super fun filled. And what sucks is I'm told it didn't start being that way until issue 101, which just happened to be my first issue. So I went and collected the hardcovers, and I've honestly been preferring to go back and read those oversized hardcovers of the early part of the IDW run. But anyway, we are hurtling toward an event called the Armageddon War that's going to be written by Tom Waltz, which, great, because he was the one that was writing it when everybody loved Ninja Turtles. But at the same time, Sophie Campbell's got stuff going on with the Ninja Turtles and the Punk Frogs, and her story is not stopping. So I might as well get caught up. Now, all that said, the only reason I'm buying this book is because Kevin Eastman is doing the variant covers every single month, and every single month, I love them. So I'm getting the Kevin Eastman cover B. It's got a cover price of $3.99. And that's all that's on my indie comics pull list. If I just stick to that list, then I'm only paying $11 for the indies this week, which brings my grand total up to, that's where the drum roll would have gone, but there's no table in front of me, $47. $47 this week. That's before taxes and my 10% subscriber discount. Shout out to Ultimate for having a subscriber discount. So $47, I'm good with that. I'm under budget, but it almost wasn't that way. So let's talk about the book that's on the chopping block this week that I'm just not going to pick up because I needed to save room in the budget. No, none of these other books made it, right? I could have cut DC versus Vampires, but that's going to be the most fun I read this week. I could have cut Gunslinger Spawn, but the art is going to be awesome. What did I cut this week? I cut The Punisher. The Punisher issue 3 is out this week. It's written by Jason Aaron with art by something Rays. I missed it. Hold on. Yeah, Says. Now, I can't lie. The Punisher, I finally got caught up. I read issues 1 and 2 over the weekend, and it's probably one of the best books I've read so far from Marvel this year. And you guys know I'm more of a street level guy. Give me some hand-to-hand combat, give me an interesting plot, and I'm down. And this has not been anything short of that. You've got the Punisher, Frank Castle. He, for some reason, is like an agent of the Hand. In fact, he's kind of looked at as like the high priest of the Hand, like the second savior, the fist of the Hand. And so it's been really interesting. And they gave a really interesting reason as to why Frank Castle is working with the Hand. And he is kind of trying to be like a conscience. You know, the Hand is all about killing people, the art of killing people. And they're like, yo, there is no one more skilled at killing people than you, Frank Castle. You should be our new, I don't know what you would call it, their knight, right? They want him to be like their next chosen one. And he's doing it because he's got a really compelling reason to do it. I gotta say, the artwork in this book is great. The story is good. This is a Jason Aaron book where I feel like there is no detail that doesn't need to be there. It's masterfully written. The artwork is great. There are flashbacks to Frank Castle's childhood. If all of these sound like reasons that you need to be buying this book, it's because they are. This book is really good. I'm just not in a space where I care to see like a ton of like graphic violence in a book. It's not that I don't want to see it. It's just that, I don't know. This is the type of book that like the 15-year-old me would have loved. And I'm just like not in that space right now. And so that combined with the fact that they've got the cover price at $4.99, I'm like, I don't really need to read this right now. Like I can get to it later because there's nothing just like giving me an urge to find out what happens to Frank Castle because I never read him before. But it's still a good book. It's definitely a good book. If you're into action books, if you were worried about the Punisher's symbol changing, there's a reason for it, and it's all in the story. If you're a Punisher fan, you should probably be reading this run. I did not have any experience with the Punisher prior to reading this, and it'll be on Marvel Unlimited in 3 months. So I'm just going to wait until then, since my pull list is already so bloated. So the Punisher is on the chopping block. Issue 3 is out this week. I do recommend it. If you don't mind a little blood in your comic books, it's a good book. It's just not for me. At least not this week. So that's it. I saved $5, by the way, by not buying the Punisher. And that's how I stayed under budget. So that's my pull list for the week. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited that I stayed under budget. There are probably a couple of books that could have gone that didn't go this week, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled. What's on your pull list? What are you excited about? Are you reading Punisher? Are you reluctantly dropping anything this week? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like talking comics, then you should join my Facebook group or Discord server. It's called the K Squad. We talk comics. We do art swaps. We do all sorts of really fun activities in the squad. So join on the platform of your choice in the description down below. And I'll see you in another video very soon. Until then, I hope you saw something you liked. And if not, hey, that's cool. Because you can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others. Because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.